Here's a summary of The Wood on the Hill as a podcast-style narrative in English, approximately 4,500 characters long, without sound effects or music. Welcome, listeners. Tonight, we enter an ancient wood on a hill. This wood remembers dragons. It remembers a time before humans, when the sky was filled with fire. But by the time of our story, the wood had grown old and content, watching the seasons pass, watching children play in its branches and grow into adults. Each day was a joy. Not far away stood a white house with marble pillars. It belonged to a duchess who was very rich and very unpleasant. She had a terrible temper, screamed at her 31 servants, and kicked furniture. She was also exceedingly vain, spending hours admiring herself in the mirror. Her friends were hateful aristocrats who did nothing but gossip and complain. One September afternoon, the Duchess discovered the wood. The leaves were gold and red, and she immediately decided to hold her Halloween party there. It will be the social event of the decade, she said. Her old servant, Michael, trembled. Your Grace, you cannot. The wood is not truly yours. It is haunted. The Duchess laughed. Haunted? How quaint. She ordered woodcutters to clear a space in the heart of the forest. Michael bowed his head. He knew something terrible was coming. The preparations began. Invitations were sent. A grand clearing was carved out of the ancient trees. A sorcerer came to make fireworks, but when he heard where the party would be held, he dropped his creations. That is forbidden, he cried. Those who truly own the wood will be angry. Your party will be a failure. The Duchess flew into a rage, but the sorcerer vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving only his soft laughter. A week before Halloween, the Duchess had a nightmare. She dreamed she was chased through a terrifying forest. She met her friends as monsters. One had a pig's body, another had a gramophone for a head. The general had no face at all, only a grinning skull. She woke screaming, but it was too late to cancel. On the night of October 31st, 500 guests arrived. The clearing filled with noise, laughter, fireworks, and champagne. The orchestra played louder and louder. Above their heads, the ancient trees began to whisper in a language as old as the world. They whispered of vengeance. Someone carved his initials into an old oak. He will die, whispered the trees. Someone threw a living branch onto the bonfire. He too, but they hated the Duchess the most. She had begun it all. At 5 minutes to midnight, the Duchess asked for silence so they could hear the church bell strike from the valley. The clearing fell quiet. Far away, the bell began to chime. 1, 2, 3. Dark forms moved in the shadows. 4, 5, 6. The sorcerer had been right. 7, 8, 9. The woods were alive. 10, 11, 12. On the 12th stroke, the woods attacked. Creatures forgotten since the world was young emerged from the darkness. Beings with eyes of fire and wings of death. Dragons returned from the north on a shrieking wind. The trees themselves came alive. Branches became arms that tightened around throats. Roots tripped the fleeing guests. The Duchess saw the general silhouetted against the fire. A great claw struck him and ripped off his mask. He really did have a skull instead of a face. Half weeping, half laughing with madness, the Duchess fled from the wood. The creatures did not follow her. It was as if the forest wanted her to live with the horror. The Duchess was never seen again. The next morning, the villagers found only the smoldering bonfire and one other thing, a silver mask of leaves, torn by huge talons, not of this world. Some say the Duchess still lives, an old woman, quite mad. Others say she ran away to Ireland. But in the valley, the villagers are free now. They play in the woods and are not afraid, because they planted new trees where the old ones were cut down. Old Michael still lives today in a cottage on the edge of the wood. He is its guardian. He talks to the trees, especially to a beautiful silver birch that grew inexplicably in the middle of the dark clearing. And the woods will never be dark again, for the world is at peace.